Welcome back. Moving forward in this lesson, I'm going to talk about the World Wide Web and the Internet. Some additional concepts that I'll also cover, in addition to the www, for example, or the Internet, will be the extranets and the intranets, or variations of the Internet. So let's jump right in and let's take a look at what the World Wide Web and the Internet is all about. First, the Internet itself. The Internet is simply a system of connected computer networks, and that's just the basic fundamental concept. In the entire world, all of the computers in one form or the other are connected. And we also understand that they are connected either through physical cables or wireless media, and they also use certain protocol, right, to transfer information between and among all those computers. So the devices that connect to the Internet primarily use the TCP/IP protocol suite. The Internet contains a lot of information, resources, and services. For instance, one of the largest is the World Wide Web servers hosting content that people put up. So for instance, if I need to create, or I'm an author of a book and I like this book to get on the Internet so that everyone in the world can actually access it, see it, or I may be able to sell my products and services using the Internet. So the best medium is the World Wide Web servers, where you would actually go out there and upload or transfer your ebook or your products or your services on those servers, and users all across the world will come to a unique address. Just like if I were to come visit you, for example, you would provide me an address. I live in such and such place, here's my house number, come visit me, and I will just navigate, open up a map, and eventually find your home. The other one is supporting infrastructure for email. So not just the content itself that you can use the Internet to place, but you can also communicate. I can send a message from one place to the other, from one computer to the other, regardless of its location. And third is the connectivity for peer-to-peer networks. And we talked about different topologies where if you have local area networks, for example, you can also share information within your own organization. The World Wide Web is an enormous system of interlinked hypertext documents that can be accessed by using a web browser. So here you have a situation where you have, let's say, a database, right? A storage, huge storage with billions of documents that you can actually take a look at, and all of these documents, so to speak, are interlinked. So I can simply go out there and use my web browser. So the tool that is used to access these documents is called the web browser. And of course, we know that when we browse the Internet, right, we use a tool called a web browser. And examples are Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, and so on. These interlinked hypertext documents can contain text, graphics, and videos. So there are over 1 billion websites on the World Wide Web today. That's a large number. Everyone seems to be having a space on this World Wide Web. So in order to perform communication among all these computers spread all across the world, we need to use a certain medium, right? And that's called the HTTP. It's basically the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is a set of rules for transferring files, images, videos, and any other multimedia files on the World Wide Web. So for instance, as soon as a user opens your web browser, right, for example, Internet Explorer or Chrome, the user is indirectly making use of this protocol. HTTP is an application protocol that runs on top of the TCP/IP suite of protocols, which is again the foundation protocols for the Internet. So TCP/IP is the foundation, and HTTP runs on top of this so that all these computers spread across the world can communicate and transfer, right, files, images, and videos. Next, let's take a look at intranet. So we talked about the internet and the World Wide Web. An intranet is simply a private computer network or a single website that an organization implements in order to share data with employees, project managers around the world. So in common terminology, an intranet is internet, but it's only within your organization. So you have a website, for example, you use the same HTTP transfer protocol. However, only users within the organization can access your internal web structure. The user authentication is necessary, and that makes sense because external users are not allowed before a person can access the information in an intranet. Ideally, this keeps the general public out as long as the intranet is properly secured. So let's say you have 1,000 employees spread across the world and you like to share information, collaborate, you create your own intranet, and that's essentially called an intranet. Next, we have the extranet. An extranet is similar to the intranet with the distinct difference that it is extended to users outside a company as well. So for instance, you may have vendors, external people who would like to gain access to your own intranet or resources within your company, or possibly to the entire organization that are separate from or lateral to the company. And here user authentication is obviously still necessary because you're not opening your entire network to the public. Accessing company data, for example, here's a visual representation. A company can present information to different groups. Again, we talked about the intranet for internal employees only, extranet for partners or vendors, and the web server for the public. So within your own network, whichever topology you use, for example, using a star topology, you can set it up so that you can distinctly divide your network and create sections, one for the partner access, one for the public access, and one for the remote users and your internal employees. And of course, all this can be done securely using firewalls, and I'll talk about later in the next lessons what firewalls are. But here, just to give you an idea that you can create and allow access to your own users or external people, vendors, by creating the extranet, intranet, or using the internet. So here in this lesson, I just wanted to differentiate the basic concept of internet, the World Wide Web, and of course the internet, intranet, and then extranets. So I hope this helps, and let's move to the next lesson.